What's going on, everyone? It's your average consumer, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new PlayStation 4. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Alright, guys, here we have the PlayStation 4, Sony's official entry into the console war, and it's been 7 years in the making, but it's finally here. And taking a look at the design of the PS4, you'll see that Sony went with a sleek parallelogram kind of shape, and Sony has proven time and time again that it isn't afraid to leave the standard rectangular shape in the past for something that's different and unconventional. The PS4 comes coated in a matte and part gloss finish that really gives it a high-end feel. Under the glossy portion of the PS4, you'll find the removable hard drive. Sony has made it quite easy to replace the initial 500GB version for something of a larger capacity or even a solid state drive that'll increase the PS4's performance. Its sleek and mature design should prove easy to fit amongst any entertainment area, regardless of its very different parallelogram shape. In front of the system, you'll find a touch capacitive power button as well as a capacitive eject button for discs. These buttons are very flush within the system and may actually be overlooked to those unfamiliar with it. And speaking of this, the PS4 can play Blu-rays and DVDs, but it does not support playing regular CDs or 3D Blu-rays, which is quite unfortunate if you happen to have a large collection of those. Also up front, you'll find two 3.0 USB ports. Currently, the only real use for these is to charge external devices like your controller, phone, etc. And it's a shame that you won't be able to use an external storage device to read any files other than system software. And this means you won't be able to load up your system with MP3s, video files, and the such, which is quite unfortunate considering how great of a media hub the PS3 was. Hopefully, Sony changes this in a future update. In the back, you'll find the power connect that uses the same sized plugs most of the past PlayStations have used, an HDMI port, a digital out, an Ethernet port, and an aux port, which is used for the PlayStation camera. Take note that the back only contains an HDMI port, and this is something you want to keep in mind if you don't game on an HD TV yet. Now let's take a look at the upgraded DualShock 4 controller. Its new shape has been getting a lot of praise all over the web, and for good reason. It feels like it's a more streamlined version of the PS3's DualShock controller and is much more comfortable in the hand. I never had any issues with the PS3's controller, but I definitely can feel the difference when I go back to it after using the DualShock 4. There are some welcome changes to it, such as the little ridges in the back as well as the bottom of the handles, which provide some nice grip to the controller, and you'll also notice the thumbsticks have changed as well. They now have an indented shape that allows for easy thumb placement and more comfort. The ridges around the joystick also make it easy for those of you who like to use the edges for movement. There are also a ton of new features found on the new DualShock 4, and the most popular is probably the new clickable touchpad found right in the center. There aren't too many games that currently support this feature, but games like Assassin's Creed 4 and the Playroom app have found interesting ways of utilizing it, such as zooming in on maps or throwing little robots around your room. You shouldn't expect the performance that you would see on a smartphone's touchscreen, but it's interesting nonetheless, and I look forward to seeing how it's implemented in more games. On the side of the trackpad, you'll notice the Share and Options button. I found that the Options button is pretty much your start button, while the Share button allows you to send up to 15-minute game footage and screenshots to various social media outlets. Under that, you'll find an integrated speaker, and games like Resogun take advantage of the speaker to provide warnings and other in-game activities.
Shields lost. Weapon power up.
And one of my personal favorite features of the controller is the ability to plug in any headphones into the 3.5mm headphone jack and use it to listen to all game audio and party chat. This eliminates the need for an expensive gaming headset if you already have a nice pair of headphones. And what's great about this is that if your headphone has a mic, you can use it to chat with people in your party. Also, at the top of the controller, you'll find an LED light that works with the PlayStation camera, and it allows it to function as a PlayStation Move controller. And it also helps to determine which player you are. This LED light also does some pretty funky stuff like change colors to show your health status. In all honesty though, you probably won't really notice or find use for the colored LED outside of determining which controller is yours. Battery life on the controller lasts about 5 to 6 hours and now uses a micro USB in order to charge. If you play for several hours at a time, you might want to invest in a long USB cable or be ready to charge during your playthrough. Overall, this controller packs some great technology, and I can't wait to see how developers plan to incorporate the features into their games. And of course, we have to discuss the actual software side of things. The PS4's new operating system is pretty simple at first glance. It's made up of two rows, the main row containing your games, apps, while the top row contains PSN related content such as your PlayStation Store, notifications, messages, friends, and so forth. While the interface is pretty clean, it can take some getting used to. Recently played games comes to the front of the list, which sounds pretty convenient, but it causes your list to change all the time if you frequent multiple apps. It isn't a huge deal, but it may cause a few more seconds of looking for something since the tiles don't stay in place. And as you download more games and apps, the more cluttered this interface may become. I hope Sony adds the ability to pin your favorite games to the front of the list in a future update. But the best thing about this OS is how blazing fast it is. You'll have no issues jumping from app to app here, and going through the menus are seamless and fast. This is amazing in comparison to the menu speeds of last gen's consoles. The new OS also allows you to have two apps open at once, one game and one entertainment app. This is very convenient as you no longer need to quit your game to switch to your favorite video streaming application. And switching between the two takes almost no time thanks to the very fast menu. Overall, the PS4 has a very clean looking interface which is quite easy to browse, albeit the slight room for improvement. Sony has also introduced a PlayStation app for your smartphone in conjunction with the PS4, and with this you're able to see who's online, send messages, check out what the latest activities of your friends are. So Sony's really trying to push the social aspect, as we all know, and they do it with another platform such as the smartphone platform, so I think that's a pretty cool thing as well. Sony also really extends the functionality of the PS4 by allowing you to use the Vita's remote play feature no matter where you are as long as you have a solid internet connection. The Vita will also turn on the PS4 if it's left in standby mode to grant you access to your system. And no, you don't need to purchase an extra game for your Vita when you're using Remote Play, as you'll just be streaming the gameplay from your PlayStation to the Vita. You can also use both the PlayStation app and the PS Vita to act as a second screen for games that support the feature. If you want to learn more about the amazing Remote Play feature, as well as other great features the PS4 has, I have a few videos that go more in depth, and you can check them out in the annotation here or in the links down below in the description. And finally, to talk about the games. The games look just as beautiful on the PS4 as one would expect, and on the big screen there's a ton of detail to be seen, and you can see just how much of an improvement it is over its predecessor. The current launch lineup for the PS4 is pretty decent, but there aren't too many noteworthy exclusives yet. PlayStation Plus currently gives you access to a few free-to-play titles, however, such as Blacklight Retribution and the already infamous Resogun. Although the library may be considered lackluster at launch, there are still a few good games out for it, with more in the pipeline. And one last thing about the games, if you want to play online multiplayer, you will have to invest in a PlayStation Plus subscription. I definitely think it's worth the investment though, because the PlayStation Plus has a lot of huge benefits like the instant game collection, which allows you to download a couple of free games every month, as well as some discounts for PlayStation Plus members. So that's really good stuff there. There's a lot of value added when you have PlayStation Plus. So I don't think it's a real big strain on anyone who wants to play online multiplayer to have all those benefits as well. And alright guys, that pretty much wraps up my review of the PlayStation 4, and I definitely think that it's worth the $400 investment. You're getting a great piece of technology here for a pretty low cost considering what's out on the market. Now, I know a lot of you are wondering what's better, the PS4 or the Xbox One. Well, I can't give a definitive answer to that as I haven't gotten a chance to fully try out and use the Xbox One, so I'll have to save my judgments till after I've given the Xbox a fair shot. I can offer, however, the reasons why I decided to purchase the PS4 over the Xbox One. And firstly, I'm pretty invested into the PlayStation ecosystem with things like the PS Vita, PlayStation Plus, multiple PlayStation headsets, so it made sense that I went with a system that supported all of those. As I also have a pretty unique setup for my gaming consoles, space was definitely a concern, and the smaller footprint of the PS4 definitely appealed to me. Being able to play most of my games at 1080p versus 720p was also pretty important, and I was able to save $100, so why not? So that's a bit of a look into my thought process when I decided I wanted to pull the trigger. Now, this isn't to say that the PS4 is a perfect system, as it does have its flaws, such as having no ability to add MP3s or videos, not being able to organize your menu at all, and worst of all, currently no support for the PlayStation Pulse wireless headset unless you use it with your controller. But these are things that I hope can be changed in future updates, and I look forward to that happening. But this truly wraps up my review, guys, and if you enjoyed it, be amongst the best viewers of this video and hit that like button, and also subscribe to the channel if you want more awesome videos from me. But till the next video, guys, it's your average consumer. Peace.